F4 live right now interviewing.
Just call on your brother when you need a hand.
It's Dizzy F4. My real name is Devin Brown.
I to lean on. I just might.
Then yeah, I mean it's a pleasure to be here. Sierra invited me to do an interview, and I was very, very honored to do it.
To lean on.
To tell everybody what exactly you do.
I'm a music artist. You know, I rap. I got a lot of different type of music as well though. So I wouldn't say I'm just a rapper. That's why I kind of consider myself more so an artist. But I'm definitely a music person. Been doing music seriously for about 3 years now. I think I started when I was a junior in high school. But I think that senior and freshman year of college, as some of you know, was definitely when I really started to take it serious. And here I am, a couple of years later, still doing the same thing. A couple more connections, more foundations, more creations. So it's been a pretty cool journey. Yeah.
What exactly is your art centered around?
It started off. I'll say it started off as a poetry thing. That was kind of what I was doing before I was really rapping. So I was a huge poet in high school. I even got a couple of my old poetries put into the high school art, records that they got there. So you can actually go back and find it somewhere. But yeah, I started off as a poet. That was the biggest thing as far as creations, art creations. And then that kind of just translated into, lyrics and making music. And from then on, I've been pretty much doing that. So, I make all types of songs. I make hip hop. I have other melodies in there, all types of different stuff that I hope you all will be able to see. There's an album coming soon, so there'll be a couple of other songs on there and different vibes that you all can listen to and see where I'm coming from. So
when did you realize those qualities about yourself?
As a young kid, I started doing a lot of stuff in the church. I really started at, I was doing background dancing, I was, rapping, I was singing in the church choir. So that was probably my first look at, music and entertainment and stuff like that. And, pretty much just the arts of it all. So that's where I started at.
Where did that come from within?
Or I talk about everything when it comes to music. So obviously, you talk about love and other things, and where you're coming from or the people that you're dealing with who are around you and stuff like that. So those are the type of things that I talk about. I talk about, the influences that I've had, whether those are people or other things around me. Just kind of talk about everything. I think a good word for my music is more so genuine. I like to rap or talk, from a standpoint where people can hear what I'm saying and automatically understand like that situation or know, explain it in a way through song where they can understand it, without having to think too hard. And that's just kind of how I try to get my messages across. A lot of people think like in order for you to have music, you got to have like these pretty grand experiences, but like, you can make music out of like very small experiences too. So, I don't really just make music based off of, what's happened, that was pretty grand in my life. I kind of make music just based off of like even the small stuff that happens like day to day. Because you're able to come from a place of actuality and experience. Growing up with just being, having a single mom, I think a lot of guys can relate to that. So talking about that in music and talking about the struggles that come along with that, it's not really just, okay, I didn't have a dad to do this, da, 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 da. It's more so about, it goes deeper like, okay, well, what did you have to learn? Since you didn't have that, or like, what did you watch your mom do? So I can expand on stuff like that in music. Everyone talks about love. We've had different heartbreaks, people that make your heart feel better. So definitely talk about that. You've had some imperfections that, I definitely like to talk about. And those imperfections are not just for me, a lot of other people can relate to those. So, finding a way to communicate it in a way where people understand it, but also, nod their head at the same time, so that's kind of what I keep in mind, and sometimes the lyrics are even, it just depends on how people hit them. Some people might find them funny or more interesting. Grand experiences are a huge part, but I don't really limit myself to just that, you know what I'm saying? I try to expand and talk about as much as possible, even if it's a very, very small experience, but definitely grand experiences are a huge part of the music. I think this past year, the death of my grandmother was a huge part in my music. You'll hear in this upcoming album, there's a couple times that I kind of mentioned the things that I wanted to do for my grandmother before she passed. However, that wasn't able to happen. You can hear those things in the music. Like I said, big experiences are they're emotion drivers. And that's kind of what this game is about, you know, the art of music. Like it drives off of emotion a
What
lot.
did you do in undergrad to develop your artistic voice and abilities?
My practice consisted of perfecting my wordplay whenever I got the chance. So a lot of people don't know this, but 9 times out of 10, if you see me with headphones in or like I'm in the car, like when I got serious about my music, I kind of fell out of touch with the music world. It's kind of contradictory. It's kind of weird. When I was really focusing on my music, I wasn't really hip to all the other albums and stuff like that was coming out. That's why I say when if you see me and I have headphones in or like I'm in the car or something, 9 times out of 10, I'm really running beats the entire time. You know, whether I'm listening to the same beat over and over or I'm listening to something new that somebody just, gave me. And it's kind of like that brainstorming time is very important. That's where you get some of your best ideas, forcing yourself to work on it. Okay, I'm not very in a creative mood right now, but maybe there's a couple lyrics that I could come up with right now that are very moving. Practicing just whenever I could. So walking to class, because I am a college student, wearing headphones and stuff like that. Or when I was playing football, on the way to games. So I kind of had to tell myself, don't get too caught up in just making your own music. Make sure that you're still listening. Old music. So, when I was in the car with my mom, she always tell my mom, run a couple of old songs. So, I can get hip to like some old hip hop or what's going on and hear where these samples and stuff like that is coming from. Practicing kind of just consisted of me listening and dissecting the actual music. What made this song so great? What was it that he said, or what was on the chorus, or what did she say? What did she put into this song that made it a hit? But also spending a lot of time alone. Sometimes you gotta be in that room alone and stress your voice. There's been times where I've waited till people left the house for me to try to bust a couple notes to kind of see like, where's my voice really at? It's not a basketball or a football practice. Creativity hits like at all different times of the day. It could be 2:00 in the morning. It could be 3:00 in the afternoon. So
What gives you the power to want to put out this creativity?
yeah, that's a great question. A lot. I say a lot, from the people around me who like what I do and who want to see me do great and how I want to see them benefit from what I'm doing, to just me simply liking the products of music that I make. I like it. I like hearing where I came from and looking at where I'm at now, or going to the studio and saying this is a great song, like, and I kind of like touched into this area. When I go back, I'm gonna try to touch more into that area of music or do stuff like that. So the drive is just finding out what am I good at, and like falling in line and in love with exploring, my voice and doing music, whether I'm rapping or putting together, a melody type of song, or even singing, or stuff like that. So the drive comes from a lot of different places. There's people that I want to see or that I want to be able to do for, based off of this music. And there's a lot of people that I want to see do well. And I feel like if I work hard enough, then I could be able to do that. The art itself, like, just the fact that you love it. A lot of people, say that about what they love. When you love it, like it's not work. You feel like you can just get up and do it, at any time. So, and people don't always tell you this, but every day in the studio is not a great day. You have days where you go in there and me and my brody Chris have joked about this. Sometimes you get what we call writer's block. And either though you're not, writing, it's kind of just being on the mic. And it's like you're in between a place where, and it can happen where you don't know what to say, or there's too much that you could say for this song. So you're kind of like stuck and you don't know what to say. And then, it kind of like rails off, and now you're thinking about all this kind of stuff. And when you're in the studio, like having a straight mind and being focused is that's important. It's very easy for somebody to be like, yeah, this song isn't it, I'm done. It's very easy to do that. And I've done that before, but it's about, being able to not do that, or if you do that, correct yourself. So there's a couple times where, we'll chalk a song and then we'll move on to something different that I had no, plan of doing while I was in there, or that we just kind of came up with on the spot. And then it becomes something great, but that just comes from not stopping at what song failed, or, even putting out, singles and songs. I've had songs that I've done far better numbers than others, whether it's because people liked it or because I promoted it in a certain way that it resulted in that. And some people, I wouldn't say I look at it as a failure, but it definitely didn't do as great as this last song. Failures like that, I've seen a lot of people get into the rap game and like they have one bad song and they're like, I'm done. But it's the fact that they keep working on it. Even if it comes to like song deadlines. There's been a couple of times where this is my deadline, I want to meet it, and then along the line something happens, and it's just you can't be too focused on, well, I didn't get to get this out to the people or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You got to keep working. Like, it's supposed to come when it's supposed to come, because everything's not really a failure. It's just kind of like, or we'll learn from this, or this was supposed to happen so you could get to this. So
there's a lot of young people getting into the rap game.
Right,
Just
right.
be honest.
Oh, it's blowing up.
And
Yeah.
so, and also we're in a pandemic. So can you talk about your experience as an up and coming artist in a pandemic and still persevering and doing what you're doing as an artist?
I would say there is no better time to be trying to rap than right now. And I say that because the world is literally on hold right now. So it's like a lot of people are moving real slow. A lot of the people that had all the money for these videos and stuff like that are not, making as many moves right now, which is opening up time for a lot of these younger people to get seen. When this time came, and it's like, okay, we're all remote, being not being in high school, but being in college, it was very hard for me to go home and I want to record this, or it was very hard for me to say, I'm about to make this project, when you got to be at class 5 days a week and you're 2 hours away from where you really record, or an hour and a half away from where you really record. This is the time to be writing. This is the time to be working and getting that studio money. This is the time to be, plotting out whatever goals in the music that you might have that you want to do. And that was kind of the first thing I did.
What are some of, you've been naming them, but what are some of the things that you really did think about as you were moving into this field of work and artistry that you now have to think about?
Yeah, it's
on top of the pandemic.
Definitely, yeah. There was a lot of things that, dropping a single every now and then paying for a cover art, that was easy stuff. But when it came down to, okay, now I'm really working with people that are making beats. Now I'm really working with, real videographers. These people have to get paid, these people have to do work for me, and I have to, do the service or whatever it is that needs to be done. All that stuff was stuff that I didn't really start thinking about till it got down to the nitty gritty and I was at home. So, and really quickly, I tightened up. I always knew that, like I said, I wanted to get this project out, and I've been talking about it for a while, but it was more of a topic than it was really, of knowing how I was going to get there. It was more of an idea at the time. But like I said, being home during this pandemic and having the time and the access to money, I was able to make that possible. When you think of Cleveland, you really don't think of rap. And I think with a lot of the younger rappers trying to rap game in Cleveland, because we have a couple of good people that have come out of here. Kid Cudi is a huge artist that was in the Cleveland area that has impacted music in an insane way. You look at other people that are came out of Cleveland, such as Doughboy, who was an artist of Future, and Future was a great artist in the rap game. We don't have huge names, or as many names as we do as people that come from Chicago and Atlanta, and even areas like Memphis and California and stuff like that. So when you look at Atlanta, it's like everybody's rapping. Even artists that are not huge, they're rapping, but somebody's behind them, like, this is the city of rap. But the grind continues. Like I said, I have a bunch of other people out here that are rapping as well, and they're making significant moves. I mean, their sounds are very good, sounds that I haven't heard from other places in the US or abroad and stuff like that. So I'll say a social factor is trying to create the hip-hop awareness here. That's kind of what we're doing right now, and it can be kind of a struggle sometimes because people aren't as used to it. We get a lot of it's like, oh, rap, well, I already know what he's talking about, sex, drugs, and violence and stuff. And sometimes that may be in the rap, but that's not all that we're talking about. We're alluding to a lot of other things. We're alluding to the people around us. I think just being a Black male and rapping, it can be hard sometimes because of the assumptions that come with it.
What do you want people to remember from this conversation?
That looking at the world right now, do not feel held, whether we're talking about the pandemic, whether we're talking about race, whether we're talking about, you know, whatever it is, don't feel held to outside boundaries. I want to say, you know, keep working. If you just kind of know sometimes in your head, like, I know I'm on to something, like I know, like I feel something here, like something's right, like, or there's no way that I keep drawing myself to this and there's no reason. You know, I had to ask myself a while, like, why do I keep finding myself just listening to beats? Why do I keep finding myself putting my own lyrics on these songs? You know, that kind of led to me, okay, you like music, like, you know, so remember those passions or those little hints that life is giving you. Don't be afraid of risk. I had a conversation with my mom actually earlier today, and she put a good word on me. There are things that can come from playing life too safe, you know, and trying to plot it out one by one. You know, sometimes you got to take that risk because, like you say, you know, opportunity may not be there again, or, you know, this could be the shot, or, you know, like you or like I said earlier, you could be onto something that you are onto a lot more than you think you're onto, if that makes sense. Staying goal oriented, being conscious of who you are and what you're capable of, and being resistant, you know, to outside influences. As one of the last things, know yourself. With being in quarantine, I feel like this is a huge time to spend a lot of time with yourself and learn yourself. Yeah, album is coming in December. I definitely want to let you all know that. I feel like it's a great time to reveal that. I just finished up setting up most of the stuff yesterday, and I'll be doing a lot more stuff tonight. 14 tracks strong, 14, yeah. So it's pretty good amount of time, about an hour. A lot of hard work went into it. I mean, most of the stuff that we talked about this year, you know, has played a part in this album, or things that I had to get past, you know, when doing this. So,
All right, you heard it from Dizzy S4. Follow him, please, on all platforms.
thank you so much.